Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about skills in Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. Skills represent the specific things that your character can do. While an ability like dexterity represents the agility of your character, skills such as acrobatics and stealth are specific ways that your character has put that agility into practice. I will cover details about specific skills in a later video, but here I want to provide an overview of the skills and how they are used. Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition has 17 different skills. Each skill ties back to a single core ability. For example, athletics draws from your strength, while history draws from your intelligence. When you use a skill, you will add the underlying ability modifier to the check. Each class has multiple skills that a character of that class might be trained in. For example, a cleric might be trained in Arcana, Diplomacy, Heal, History, Insight, or Religion. Which skill your specific character is trained in is something you get to decide when you create the character. Note that you can only be trained in skills that are aligned with your class, so if you don't see the skill in the class description, then you cannot train in it unless you choose a feat that allows you to select other skills. When you choose to be trained in a skill, your character gets a +5 bonus to any checks using that skill in addition to other bonuses. Note that training is binary. You are either trained or you are not. You cannot train in the same skill multiple times. As you level up, you will also have the option to change a skill that you are trained in. For example, if you selected the history skill when you created your character, but find that you're never really using it, when you level up, you could untrain in history and instead train in another skill such as diplomacy. You can only do this once per level, and the new skill must also be listed with your class description. This is nice because it gives you the option to refine your character as you go, and you're not stuck with some arbitrary choice you might have made when the campaign started. So how do you use a skill? During the game, your character may want to attempt certain things that the average person would not be able to do. This could be a physical act, such as balancing on a narrow ledge, or something that requires mental prowess, like recalling a piece of history about an ancient rune. Or it might even be something like trying to trick a guard into letting you pass by. When these situations arise, the Dungeon Master will ask you to roll a skill check. For example, they might say roll a history check or roll an acrobatics check. You would then roll a d20 and add in all the bonuses you get for that particular skill. This would include half your level, the modifier for the underlying ability, and the +5 bonus if it's a skill that you're trained in. If you're not trained in the skill, then you would still get to add half your level plus your ability modifier. There might even be other bonuses that you get to add based on items that you have or powers that are in effect or any number of other things. As you get these bonuses, be sure to make note of them on your character sheet so you don't forget to apply them. There could also be penalties due to the armor that you're wearing or powers that are being used by an enemy. These will be deducted from the total result. After rolling the d20 and factoring in all the bonuses and the penalties, you will have your result. The Dungeon Master will compare this result to the difficulty of the action you were attempting. If your result at least matches the difficulty, then you succeed. Sometimes you might use a skill that is opposed by another creature. For example, you might be trying to bluff a guard to let you pass. In this case, the Dungeon Master might ask for a bluff check. You would roll the check exactly the same way as you did before, but instead of your result being compared to a static difficulty value, the Dungeon Master would roll a counter check for the guard. In the case of a bluff, the Dungeon Master would likely roll an insight check to determine if the guard sees through your deception. If your result at least matches the guard's result, then you succeed at the check. There are some situations where time is not critical and the action in question is something that you could reasonably attempt multiple times without penalty. For instance, perhaps the group stole a treasure chest and is now back at the hideout trying to open it. There is no immediate threat and you have all the time that you need, so it's reasonable that you would eventually succeed. In these cases, you can just take 10. Instead of rolling a d20, you simply use a value of 10 and then add your bonuses for the skill in question. As long as the result at least matches the difficulty, then you succeed. Some skills also have a passive component to them. For example, while you're walking through a room or down a street, it is presumed that each character is using some level of perception to simply be aware of the world around them. Much like the take 10, your passive skill value is 10 plus the bonuses for the appropriate skill. The Dungeon Master will use these values to determine what your character sees without you needing to make an explicit check. And it's possible for multiple characters to work together on a task. For instance, if you're trying to break open a door, the Dungeon Master might ask you to make an athletics check. Up to 4 other members of the party could decide to try to assist you by also pushing on the door. They would each roll an athletics check. Anyone that gets at least a 10 on their check grants you a +2 bonus for your check. With up to 4 others helping you, you could get a bonus of +8 on top of any other bonuses you have for that skill. Be aware, though, that not every skill can benefit from cooperation. While multiple people pushing on a rusty door might help to get it open, no amount of assistance will help you recall a piece of historical knowledge, and multiple people trying to pick a lock would likely not be productive. The Dungeon Master has the final say in whether the cooperation is practical and how many other characters could assist. I'll dig deeper into each of the skills in a later video. If you enjoy these videos, please click that like button, and if you have any questions about 4th edition that you would like me to cover, please drop those down in the comments. Until next time, take care.